It's freezing, but it's such a nice day. After my morning walk with Elsie, I was ready for some breakfast, so I'm starting by making a small fruit salad. And I'm still loving pear and orange, so I'm cutting up one of each and adding them to a small bowl. And then for my main breakfast, I'm cutting up a slice of this bread I get from a local bakery, which is so good. I added it to my toaster to toast and then sliced some cucumber slices for my toppings. And I'm making some scrambled eggs to make sure I get enough protein, so I'm cracking 2 eggs in a bowl, plus a bit of egg whites and whisking them with my fork. I then grabbed my non-stick pan and sprayed with olive oil spray. I started stirring the eggs slowly to scramble them. Once they were cooked to my liking, I seasoned with salt and pepper. And now my toast was ready, so I'm adding it to my plate and spreading about a tablespoon of red pepper hummus on it. I then topped with the cucumber slices and served my eggs on the side. I added my fruit bowl on the plate too, and that was breakfast. Super easy, but so good and filling. So last week's food was all over the place. I had a stomach bag, also had a tooth extraction earlier last week. So it was a lot of soups, and then I was just sick obviously, so I couldn't eat properly. So this week I'm focusing on eating lots of fresh vegetables, fruits, healthy proteins, making sure I ate enough, because with my tooth I wasn't able to eat enough. And I don't know about you, but that makes me bloated. I don't know if it's just me, but I need food. I think my body is used to a certain way of eating, so if I don't eat enough, I just get bloated. Let me know in the comments if you're the same or if I'm just weird. Focusing on hydration as well, because with being sick I wasn't able to drink my usual amount of water because it was making me nauseous, which was just sad. So I feel like my face, in combination with the cold weather, has gone so dry. For lunch, we're making a yummy and nourishing tofu soup, and this recipe couldn't be easier. I started by chopping an onion in half and then in small pieces. I then grabbed a couple of garlic cloves and crushed them on this little dish. I then peeled some ginger and grated it. I added my saucepan to the hob and added all the veggies in to saute for a few minutes. I seasoned with salt and pepper and added little splashes of water to make sure the veggies don't stick to the bottom of the pan. I then grabbed the rest of the ingredients for the soup, and yes, this broth is the best. It makes the best soups. I chopped the pak choi in medium-sized pieces, and then I cut a block of tofu in small square shapes. I then added all of the itsu broth plus some boiling water. Lastly, I added the pak choi and the tofu pieces. I covered with water, gave it a stir and let it simmer for about 20 minutes. And when I was ready to serve, I'm cooking up some noodles on a separate pan, and I'm doing that separately to make sure the noodles don't absorb the yummy broth, as I want a lot of broth for my soup. And now on to serving. I added my noodles at the bottom of my bowl and attempted to fluff them up, and then added loads of spoonfuls of soup on top. And you can easily mix and match the protein and the veg you use for this, and it still will taste amazing. And it feels so good for you. I just love this soup. I just made a soup, so I'm gonna have that. My fridge is pretty much empty, so I just used whatever I found. And it's the most exciting time of the week because we have a Sainsbury's delivery coming. I've been loving Sainsbury's, they have such great fruit. So I'll show you what I got. Let's eat soup, it's hot. This itsu broth is amazing. Makes any kind of soup, like 3 or 4 ingredients, add them in. Amazing. It's so good. It's so good, so simple. Oh, it feels like a warm hug. I'm gonna go enjoy. I think I'm gonna spritz a bit of lime. That will take it to the next level. We always have to have something citrusy, right? It's so good. Over the weekend I was so sad because I couldn't eat properly, and I would eat breakfast and then I couldn't eat up until dinner time, by which point I was so hungry, so I ended up overeating, which made things even worse. But yeah, because then my belly was hurting again. So today it's already better because I made lunch, you know? Baby steps. It's better to have small changes that you can sustain. To me, today is, yeah, whatever. I don't care. Let's eat. worst part, or actually maybe the best part, I don't know. I have cleaned the fridge, so everything is ready to be put away. Let me show you quickly, and let's put everything away. Oat milk, kiwi, onions, chopped tomatoes, roasted peppers, citas, loads of eggs, eggs. There's more. Passata, whole wheat lasagna, mushrooms, more mushrooms, more mushrooms, more mushrooms. 4 packs of mushrooms. The muffins, my favorite bread, tomatoes, cabbage, lettuce, salad, easy peelers, basmati and wild rice. This is so good. Cooked beetroot, it's great for salads, trust me. Cheddar, I've been really loving this because you only need a tiny bit and it's so good. It gives so much flavor. Feta, of course. I already have a few in my fridge, but can never get caught out without feta because that's a disaster. Broccoli, spice mixes, wholemeal tortilla, Lily snacks. More Lily snacks, but sometimes I steal them because they are so tasty. More salad. I've been really craving cereal and I love Cheerios. So Cheerios. Carrots, cucumbers. Again, for salads, they're so good. This has been amazing. I know I've said so many times that full-fat Greek yogurt is great, but this is actually so creamy. I've just been loving it so much, and higher in protein, so I have so much and it's so low in calories and high in protein and it tastes great, so yeah. But I also have some full fat as well. Hummus, these cute peppers again, ricotta, again high in protein, mozzarella, big tomatoes, oats, pears, celery, big oranges, mixed chilies. These potatoes are the best, Vivaldi, if you haven't tried them, they are so good. I make them as chips or I make them jacket potatoes. Jacket potato varieties, not just one, I have more. These 2 chicks, garlic, lettuce, Edam, and cream cheese. Another pepper, frozen fruit, rocket, baked bean. I know it's not their season, but raspberry. So I got some bacon as well, and I got some pork sausages, I got some chicken thigh fillets, and some turkey mince. So now let's put everything away. Let's do it. A few things I forgot: whole milk, skimmed milk, parsley. For my afternoon snack, I'm having a tea and one of these soft banana biscuits I get for Lily, but they're so good. I always end up stealing them. And I like that they don't have any sugar and they have like a malty flavor. They're so good. And then another snack later, I had a banana and a couple of breadsticks. And for dinner, we're making this delicious pizza, which is ready in 10 minutes. I added a tortilla on my pizza pan and then added some tomato paste. I then added a block of mozzarella in small chunks all around the pizza. And for my toppings, I'm keeping it simple and slicing a mushroom and adding it on top of my pizza. I sprinkle some dried basil and I put it in a preheated oven until the cheese is all melty and the mushrooms are cooked. And for me that was about 10 minutes. I cut it in slices and then I always love a bit of rocket on my pizza as I love that fresh element. So I added a bit of rocket on top and dinner was ready. So good, and even though I ate a whole pizza, I still feel like it's a light dinner that's also very satisfying. It's the next day and I'm treating myself to a coffee from my favorite cafe this morning. Back home and I'm making an omelette, so I cracked 2 eggs and added some egg whites too. I whisked them with my fork and added them to my pan. I seasoned with salt and pepper and then added a chopped up beetroot. And then of course I'm adding lots of feta as that makes any omelette 10 times better. I let it cook for a few minutes and then I flipped it. And while it finishes cooking, I'm chopping up some fruit to have on the side. This morning's selection is orange and kiwi, so I'm chopping up both in small pieces and adding them to a small bowl. I just love to start my day with some fruit. It makes me feel so good, especially oranges. I love oranges. And now my omelette was fully cooked, so I served it on my plate, ready to enjoy. Another quick breakfast, but very filling and yummy. And then a few hours later I got hungry again, so I'm making a snack/second breakfast. I got a bagel from my freezer and added it to the toaster to toast. I then spread the cream cheese in one half of the bagel and hummus on the other half. I then used my mandolin slicer to slice lots of cucumber slices and top my bagels with. I also had a couple of easy pillars on the side, as I love to add fruit to any meal, so I just peeled them and enjoyed them with my bagel. I then took Elsie for a lunchtime walk, and can you believe it was actually snowing this morning? I couldn't believe how beautiful the weather was by lunchtime. It was still cold, but the sun makes such a big difference. And then lunchtime, I was actually craving this falafel wrap for a while, so I treated myself to it today. And it was a lunchtime deal with fries as well, so of course I couldn't resist sweet potato fries. Bit uncooked, so good, so hungry. Dinner time, and I'm making some turkey tacos, so I started by chopping up some onion and garlic. I did 1 onion and a couple of garlic cloves, so I just chopped everything in small pieces. I also did half of a small pepper, so I chopped that up in small pieces too. I then added everything in my pan, seasoned with salt and pepper, and let it saute for a few minutes. And while they're sauteing, I'm chopping up a couple of peppers in small pieces. Once they were all chopped up, I added them to my pan and let them saute for a few minutes too. I then added a pack of turkey mince and stirred it around to make sure it gets cooked through. I then added a spice mix and stirred everything again. I also added a can of red kidney beans, and then since turkey mince doesn't have a lot of fat, I thought I'd add some chorizo, as it gives so much flavor to dishes, and because it's so flavory you don't even have to use a lot. So I chopped a small piece in little chunks and added it in too. I gave everything a final stir and let it simmer while I prep the rest of my dish. And to go on top, I'm making some guacamole, so I'm cutting and scooping out 2 ripe avocados. I love it when I cut an avocado, by the way, and they're just perfectly ripe and ready to use. So once I scoop them out, I'm mashing them with my fork. I also washed a handful of baby tomatoes and chopping them up in small pieces to add them in too. I seasoned with salt and pepper and also adding some lime juice. I then mixed everything together and adding them in a little side bowl ready to use for later. I'm also grating some cheddar cheese ready to top my tacos with. And now all my elements are ready, so I'm adding some tacos in a little pan to warm up in the oven. Once they were warm, I added them to my bowl and I started filling them with the taco mixture, the cheese and some lettuce. The tacos were so tight though, it was so difficult to fill them, so it was a very messy dinner to eat, but honestly it was so delicious. I topped with cheese and guacamole and dinner was ready. And this was so flavorful. I usually make burritos or fajitas for Mexican, so it was good to have a variation and enjoy a taco dinner tonight. It's the next day, and are you surprised I'm having eggs for breakfast? I cracked 2 eggs with some egg whites, whisked them and added them to my non-stick pan to scramble. For my morning fruit, I'm having a kiwi and an orange, and then I also toasted a bagel and spread some cream cheese on top. I topped with cucumber slices and served my eggs on the side. Super quick and simple, but so yummy. Lunchtime, and I wanted something super quick, so I'm making a jacket potato. And I discovered I could make jacket potatoes in the microwave, which only takes 10 minutes, so this has been a go-to meal when I want something quick and yummy. For my potato filling, I'm doing baked beans, so I'm adding almost a whole can of baked beans in my pan to warm up while the potato is cooking. I then served some lettuce on my bowl and dressed with some olive oil and vinegar. And now my jacket potato is ready, so I'm cutting it in half to fill with my beans. And I know it's not as crispy as you'd have it when you make it in the oven, but I still really like the flavor, and it means I can have a homemade healthy meal at home in 10 minutes. So I topped with my beans and then added some cheddar cheese on top. And I also decided to cut some cucumber to add some extra flavor and crunch to my salad. And that was lunch today, 10 minutes and so good. Dinner time, and I'm starting by making some chips as I love potatoes. So I washed a bunch of potatoes and then chopping them in chip sizes. I then added them to a pan lined with baking paper and added some olive oil on top. I seasoned with salt and pepper and gave them a mix with my hands before adding them to a preheated oven to bake. And while they're baking, I'm making a Greek salad, so I chopped up some cucumber, tomatoes and pepper. I chopped the tomatoes in medium-sized pieces and then chopped about 1/4 of a green pepper in small chunks. I chopped the cucumber in medium-sized slices and then also adding a bit of onion in small chunks too. I then added some rocket in a big bowl and added all the chopped vegetables on top. I added some olive oil and vinegar, seasoned with salt, and gave it a good mix so all the veggies are coated in the oil and vinegar. And for a protein, we're making chicken tigana. I added some chopped up chicken thigh fillets in my pan with some olive oil. I seasoned with salt and pepper and stirred the chicken pieces so they can get cooked from both sides. I also added a red pepper cut up in medium chunks and gave it another stir. I let everything cook until the chicken is cooked through, and then I added some oregano and the juice of a lemon. I gave it another stir and our chicken tigana is ready. I served myself some Greek salad and topped with some feta, as you can't have Greek salad without feta. I then served loads of chips on my bowl and a few spoonfuls of the chicken. And this was such a yummy and comforting meal. It tasted like something I could have gotten from a Greek taverna. And I also had this with sparkling water with raspberries, which was good, but to be honest, a Coke would have been so much better. I wish someone made a healthy Coke. Another morning walk with Elsie, and this was another beautiful but very cold day. But I don't know about you, but even if it's cold, when the sun is out, it makes such a big difference. And now back to home to make some breakfast, and today is my office day, so I'm packing up both breakfast, lunch and snacks. For breakfast, I'm making some carrot cake oats, so I'm adding some in my jar and then topping with some oat milk. I also added a couple of spoonfuls of Greek yogurt to increase the protein, but it also gives a nice texture. I gave it a mix and then topped the lid on top. For lunch, I'm making a tempeh wrap, so I'm starting by steaming some tempeh slices. After a few minutes, I flip them to the other side and let them cook for a few more minutes. I season with salt and pepper and let them finish cooking. And while the tempeh is cooking, I'm chopping up some veggies to add to my wrap. So I'm chopping up some red pepper in small pieces and then shredding a carrot with my grater. I added a wholemeal tortilla on my plate and adding some hummus on top. I spread it evenly and then added some rocket. I then added the shredded carrot and the pepper slices. I topped with the tempeh chunks and then added some feta on top, as feta gives so much flavor. I then did my best to wrap it, even though I had filled it so much, but it kept together, so yeah. I added it in my glass container, ready to take with me. I'm also chopping up some fruit to have, so today I'm doing a pear and an orange. And since I had some leftover chips, I'm adding some in a small container to have with my wrap for my lunch. I'm also packing up a sparkling water. And then I packed a couple of cereal bars, although I can't remember if I actually had them, and that was everything I packed for work. Now back home, and it was a long day in the office, so I just wanted a comforting meal, and to me that always means pizza. So James is chopping up all the veg to make a veggie-packed pizza. We're doing peppers, mushrooms, onions and olives. And for my pizza today, I'm using this naan bread, as I wanted a thick style pizza, so I added some passata on top and spread it around. For cheese, I'm doing a blend of mozzarella and cheddar, so I'm adding loads on top of my pizza, as I want a very cheesy one today. And now, time for the toppings. I'm adding the cooked mushrooms, the peppers, onions, more peppers, olives and sweet corn, as James introduced me to sweet corn on pizza, and it's actually so good. I baked it in the oven until the cheese is all melty and the edges are nice and crispy. And this was such a nice pizza, more like Greek style I would say, because the thick was so base, but it was so good. And then later on, I decided to make some crepes, as I wanted something sweet. This is a super simple recipe, so super quick to make, so I just added some flour, some salt, milk and an egg in my bowl and whisked it well. I added a spoonful of the batter in my pan and let it cook for a few minutes. I flipped it to the other side and then I added about a tablespoon of Nutella on top. And I like adding it while the crepe still finishes cooking, as that way the Nutella melts and it's just so good. And I totally had 2 of these, as they were so good. It's the next morning, and of course we're starting with some fruit, and today's fruit combo is orange and kiwi, so I just chopped everything in small pieces and adding them to my little bowl. And for my main breakfast, I'm toasting a bagel and slicing some cucumber slices for my toppings. I then added some cream cheese and spread it around. I I topped with the cucumber slices and that was breakfast. Very quick to make, but so yummy. And lunch was a bit of a random one, so I decided to cook up these sausages and also use up the last of these chips. So I added my sausages in a baking pan and added them to the oven first, as they take about half an hour to cook. After 15 minutes, I also added the chips to warm through. I then served some salad in my bowl and some cucumber slices. I'm also cooking up a couple of eggs to have on the side. I told you it's a random lunch. I then served my potatoes in my bowl and topped with some cheddar cheese, as cheesy chips are so good. I served my eggs on the side and then added one sausage on top too. And this was a very random lunch, but tasted so good, and it was so good to use up what I had in the fridge. And then later on I had some leftover crepe batter, so I'm making a crepe for my post-lunch sweet treat. And I only had enough ingredients for one crepe today, but it was so good, even on the next day. I just love crepes, and I know it's a French dessert, but they're actually so popular in Greece. We have so many crepe places, so to me this is so nostalgic. And dinner time today is Nando's, as it was a long week and neither James nor I felt like cooking. I hope you enjoyed today's video and got some inspiration for some yummy and healthy-ish meals. If you did, make sure you give me a big thumbs up, and I'll see you on the next one. Oh, and if you made it this far into the video, comment a corn emoji. Okay, bye!